Season 1, initial pilot episode. Be prepared.
Season 4.
Craig, do you want to tell everybody why we're here?
What is the Craig scale?
Shall we begin? Craig Scale. Well, a little background on Craig Scale. Craig joined the team and sooner or later came into the group and developed a great and critical standpoint and the ratings and what makes a movie, what doesn't make a movie, and how Craig Scale will be based off specifically today's conversation. And basically gives you a guideline of how all movies will be rated from my standpoint. Then we got other team members in here. So again, this is Craig Scale right here, listening, talking.
You're the important one.
I'm the important one.
You're
We're just the sidekicks here.
Yeah. So basically how it goes is Craig Scale we go off movies. We're going to rate them, starting off with Craig Scale, and then we're going to go off to the other components and give them their feedback, their ratings, good, bad, or ugly, and go on from there each week with new movies or TV shows, relevant, old, new, legendary, and such forth. So, Gmo here in the red shirt, cowboy hat. We got our sound guy, our other stunning redhead, Jim, just Jim. And over here, this good-looking guy with the glasses, that's good old Spidey. And over here, we got Jake Mo.
I don't think you can see me.
No, he can't see you. But he's over here. He's on the other side.
It's not worth looking at.
No. So
what do you got this week? What is Craig scale? How do we rate a movie?
that's what we're going to find
How
out.
does Craig scale rate a movie?
So to give you guys a good basis, we're going to start with well, I'm not going to say that just yet. We're going to start with the movie 300. And you can see it, as you see in the background here, playing. Perfect scene. All right, so 300. Now, Craig scale typically is on a scale of 1 to 10. 1 being terrible, 10 being perfect. However, there is those 1 in 300 chances that a movie is rated on a 300 scale, which is 300. So
10's like a soft cap.
Yes. As we'll find out, there's certain movies that reach close to 10 and or maybe 10. We'll find out. But 300 overall. Oh, we didn't even get into that. So basically, it breaks down in a few categories. There's overall. Overall is the overall rating of a movie from the standpoint of Craig and Craig scale. Then there's entertainment. Entertainment is a standpoint mixed with Craig scale and or the viewing of other viewers and the general public. Then there's rewatchability. How often would I rewatch it, if ever, and what would the circumstance be? And then there's my recommendation on rent, buy, or try, don't do.
Technical.
Technical.
You forgot
There's also technical, yeah. So
we could just make them up as we go, really.
True.
But we got to stick to the heart of what we're used to. Let's not start changing things up now.
That's what I'm used to.
All right.
Yeah, so technical, that, as you can seems is relevant to the movie. CGI, acting, script, story, anything like that sorts is technical. But you'll start to notice what really catches Craig Scale's eyes here. So again, that's the rundown. So 300. Let's just get into it. 300 on overall scale, as you have found out already, is 300. 300 is the perfect movie of all time. There has never been a movie close to it, and my recommendation, unless they come out with a third 300 movie, which is better than the second, which we may discuss later time, could reach past it. But as of yet, 300 is perfect 300 overall, 300 entertainment, 300 technical, and 300 Craig scale to rewatch, buy, try every single day of your life if need be.
Wow.
Right?
Wow, we're really starting
out like really that. I mean, it's 300. It's 300 out of 300 on the Craig scale.
Yes.
So, my thoughts on it, I think Zack Snyder is probably the perfect person to adapt a comic book into a visual art form like movies.
This is a comic first?
It was a comic, yeah. And stylistically, It's perfect for that. Thematically, I don't think he knows what he's doing.
Wow.
Like, ever.
I didn't know. I thought this was just like a real life event that happened, and then he just made it into a movie.
I have to agree. I was completely unaware of the comic book,
Yeah.
but I was aware of the fact that it was based upon loosely true events, but they added a comic book kind of look to it. At first, I thought it was maybe just the colors didn't know what he was doing, but then I figured out, oh, they're going for that comic book fake kind of stylization. So, again, I have to agree with Gmo on this. Didn't know it was a comic book.
Craig, have you read the comic book?
I have not read the comic book. As actually a fact, I didn't know about 300.
I wonder if you would rate the comic book 300 as well.
I probably would.
Although there's no slow motion in comic books. You could
well,
probably read
everything
it
is
slow.
Everything is slow.
Probably read it really
That's
slow.
one thing that I will agree with you on. Everything is slow motion in a comic book.
That's right.
I think, the speed rapping, I think, kind of captures, like, the panel-to-panel narrative of a comic book pretty well.
Maybe that's where his influence for that came from.
Yeah.
They overuse the slow-mo and all that.
I believe 300 is, based on true story, is 100% accurate. There's nothing in this movie that's inaccurate.
Thanks.
I
Oh
believe
my
you're
gosh.
delusional.
It went from one storyteller
You're treading
to
some
another
thin,
story.
thin water there.
Well, what is 300 about? Like, what's the conflict of 300?
The conflict?
Yeah.
Well, we got the Spartans.
The Spartans.
The 300 Spartans are defending their right not to be enslaved or raped by the men and women and children, protecting them in the Battle of 300 and the odds against them, 1,000,000 to 1. In we can call this the Valley of Death, where they pretty much reduce their numbers down to a slim, but they can only fit inside there.
Right.
Are we going to
How many of
spoil-
them were there?
300.
Spoiler alert, right? We're going to spoil this whole movie.
Oh, are we spoiling that?
Wait.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Can we get
I think a
fact-
10-year span, over a 10-year span, is dedicated to you can talk about it free open.
So you can spoil any movie if it's 10 years or older.
I think that's a good
Is what
thing.
you're saying?
I think, yeah,
Okay.
let's... It's always gonna... We're never gonna do spoiler-free. That's just not what our goal is here.
Alright, so Leonidas dies. Let's just get that out of the way.
What?
He dies.
Wait a minute. I really would like to push for a fact check. Is it in fact about 300? And was it 1,000,000 to 1?
It was not.
Was it a
They actually... the Spartans actually did enslave a lot of people to join their army.
Are you
But
talking about movie or talking about...
talking about real life.
Okay.
The Spartans
the source
were...
material. What the comic book movie was.
Okay.
based on.
I'll take... Spidey can take it from there. He's more of our...
They did
credible
leave
source.
the eugenics is still part of their story in the movie, and yet we still consider the Spartans the good guys, even though they're kind of monsters. And yeah, so what makes them the good guys in 300? Why are we rooting for the Spartans?
Why wouldn't you? First of all, it's like, do you want to be slaved or raped? No, so let's fight. They're the good guys.
I thought that's what
Nobody
they
wants to
did apart from also the genocide they committed if their kid wasn't like perfect when he came out.
Yes, yeah, they threw him into
They
the...
said-
Yeah, let's
They
just
seem
forget
that's
about that, Craig.
Kind of like a
Yeah.
bully or something.
Yeah,
It's a perfect society.
it seems like the Spartans are slaves. in
Aside
their
from the
society.
baby killing, it's perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
they're
Well-
indoctrinated too. It's just yeah.
They don't have a lot of free will, do they?
Spartans?
I guess it wasn't America.
No, America.
Yeah.
There's no time for free will when you're working out all day.
Yeah, you gotta stay swole.
Yeah, they're so
Full life.
swole.
Yeah.
But
That's how they probably get them. They get them to like work out all day, and then they're too tired to fight for the laws and stuff. Yeah.
So let's delve into it a little bit. What
Why?
gives you the ratings for 300? Like,
Mhm.
I know you went over each individual technical point, and you definitely gave each one of them 300.
Right.
But what are those reasons? You want to cover that a little more for us?
Yeah, so why is it an overall 300? Minus the fact that it has...
Seems to... Sorry.
No word. So it has perfect CGI, perfect acting, perfect music, perfect soundtrack. You got it. Look at the scenes.
I mean,
It's
it's
just
great.
there's just pure epicness. And as you'll see from Craig's Hill, the most important thing for me, as far as what makes a movie or not, especially for an action movie, is slow motion and CGI,
Okay.
which 300 has plenty of, and which started the whole generation of nowadays of what makes a good slow motion. The first battle scene where Leonidas takes out in the lead and spears the guys, destroys that one guy with a shield with one arm.
Yeah.
Just is breathtaking visually, and just groundbreaking overall.
You like your violence slowed down.
I do.
Yeah.
And
so
then
you can experience it moment by moment.
Yes.
Yeah.
We'll get into other movies that try to replicate, I believe, what 300 did. And then the final scene when Leonidas stands up to Xerxes and my lady, my queen, my love. Come on.
I got a little sweaty there when you said that. Wow.
Is your wife going to be watching this later?
She's probably watching it right
Watch
now.
it right now.
Oh.
Alright, spoiler alert. Craig does
Wait,
have a
what?
wife.
Sorry,
Yeah.
what's her name?
Yeah.
Craig is taken.
I-
Ladies, calm it down.
No, I'm not gonna name drop her name.
Okay.
We might get too famous, and then I don't know.
Yeah. Alright, well,
Change
should
it.
we, since we know that you like this movie so much, should we go and see how other people feel about this movie?
Of course.
Yeah. I think we should start with Spidey.
Spidey.
Yeah.
I mean, I already said a little bit about how I think that Zack Snyder is actually kind of brilliant, but he's terrible at making a story that has like a good theme or something to it. Like he doesn't. He can tell. He can. His visuals are they stand out. You see a movie, you can tell it's a Zack Snyder movie by looking at it. Typically, you can tell it's either a Zack Snyder movie or a ripoff of a Zack Snyder style, but. He's really good at making comic book movies, and I think he should stick to that. But also, he should probably get a lot of help to make sure that he doesn't go like he doesn't do something like he did with Superman. But that's a different.
So what do you not like about 300?
That it's it definitely romanticizes the Spartans a bit too much, and I don't like. I wish that it was like a better telling of history rather than this thing that draws this narrative that like. Persians are horrible monsters and Spartans are these like underdogs, and that's just not the reality. They're all monsters.
Well, as you can see,
calm down, calm down, Craig.
Totally different
Maybe we
standpoints. here.
shouldn't be sitting next to Spidey. How do you feel about the slow motion killings and stuff?
Oh, it's fantastic. That's the comic book panel thing that I mentioned earlier. It's really good at looking like a comic. That's something that a lot of people haven't mastered yet. Like Marvel movies, I don't think are as good stylistically as far as that goes. They just want to throw in a few good jokes, and that's what their movie hangs on.
Would you say then that 300 is potentially an influence for a lot of these movies that are made nowadays where it's all about the glorification of violence versus the actual act and why they're committing the act?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely that. Yeah, that's heavy. But I still like movies like Kick-Ass that celebrate violence, or like
We'll find out.
I don't like it.
Maybe.
what is it?
In future episodes.
Kingsman: Secret Service. I love it. It's super violent and doesn't have a lot else going for it, but it's fun. I still enjoy it. I would give 300 a 10 out of 10 on style, but overall I'd still give it like a 7.
7 out of 300?
Yeah,
All
I
right.
think it's
Wow.
had enough of an influence that I can't give it any lower than that.
You
Wow.
heard it from the mouth of Spidey. You would give it a 7.
My gosh.
So what about like a Clockwork Orange? If we're going into
Oh man,
far extremes of violence,
uh,
do you feel like that's maybe where some of these films have even seeked influence?
I mean, sure. Like, I can't imagine a filmmaker who's not influenced by something like that. Like Stanley Kubrick. If Zack Snyder hasn't seen Stanley Kubrick's films, then I don't think that he should continue making movies. But I don't know. I'm not going to get into Clockwork Orange too much right now. We can say that for another episode. I want to give somebody else a chance to talk about 300.
All right,
Yeah.
well, I guess I'll start.
Yeah. Well,
Craig, I know. The first time I watched 300, I was blown away.
all right.
I was also with my mom, so it was kind of weird watching like slow motion sex happening on screen. and slow motion
Oh.
killing because she's not about that. But I must
Hopefully
say,
not.
abs look really good. Slow down.
First thing
Like
we talked
when they're running and shaking and stuff, their muscles.
You can see like when they go from like flexing to suddenly like
Yeah.
relaxing a little bit. It's
Yeah.
it's all there. Like
It's good. Oh, that stuff is good.
yeah. So small.
They could cut out the Cersei stuff.
Really?
Not Xerxes, but the actress that plays Cersei, Lena.
Lena Headey.
Cut out all that stuff, and I think it's like a 301 out of 300. I'll give you that. But
Alright.
because they keep cutting back to the other stuff, that's not,
Yeah.
what the movie's about. Because the movie's just about killing people slowly.
Yeah.
That's really all it is.
It doesn't ever really affect what's going on
Yeah.
out in the battlefield. I mean, I guess at the end they eventually get those reinforcements, right?
See, that's where Craig scale comes into play. Craig doesn't even think about that. Craig just Craig turns down the lights. He puts in that movie and he watches it as it is.
But
Well, that's
wouldn't you
what you-
say that the movie would be so much better if they cut that stuff out?
No, that makes the movie.
I think you
No,
should
okay.
watch the movie like Craig watches it, though. That's the kind of movie this is. It's fantastic. I could watch it again and again, definitely.
Right.
I had fun watching it.
It could have been better, a better 45-minute movie than what it is now. Just cut out the stuff.
You gotta have. That's what makes a movie. You gotta have the slow. You gotta have the storytelling. You gotta have the passion, the love, the action.
But I don't know.
It has it all.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, that's what's Craig scale. Well, so what is Gmo's final 300 score?
What's my final?
Your overall?
My
300.
overall. Overall, I'll give it an 8.
An 8.
Nice.
Yeah. It's a very soft 8. Yeah. If I'm having a bad day, I'll go with the 7. But
So you would
Let's just go
you would
8.
stay.
Yeah, I'll
you
stay
want
with it.
you want to hit.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, it's like a half chub.
So.
Is this just
Are
Jim?
you gonna?
Just Jim.
Do you want to give
wanna
this
get more into-
overall? You want to give him overall?
Do we want the sound guy to have an opinion on this movie?
Or about the history of violence in films?
Well, so I've only seen parts of 300.
Well, you've never seen 300.
I've never been able to watch it the whole way through because,
Yeah.
as we've talked about on other movies, not on Craig's scale, I only watch good movies.
That's his mantra.
So harsh.
We can count.
So we'll just put.
And
yeah.
I do have a rating for it.
Okay.
My breakdown of it by technicals only, storytelling, it's pretty good. It's honestly good. It gets
The
you
story?
from point A to point B. It's not like a lot of other movies where you go from A to like X or Z or something like that, where you've got something that's like really fleshed out. It's just very simply, there's guys, there's abs, there's fighting, sex scenes, death, and like that pretty much sums up most of the story. I mean, I probably just told you the plot to 300 right there.
So that's basically it.
The music's good.
Soundtrack?
Is good. I have no qualms about the soundtrack. If you like just like instrumental rock and stuff like that with a bunch of guys flexing their abs and stuff, again, no problems. From a visual standpoint, it's great. It does look like a comic book, which I do feel like Frank Miller likes to do in his adaptations. I felt like he did a really good job in the adaptation of his comic book. Have no questions with that whatsoever. Overall, how I'd rate it, I'd probably give it a 3.
Oh.
It's
Is that 1%?
in honor of its official Craig Skull rating of 300.
Wow.
Well, you heard it from just Jim.
Would you ever? What would it take for you to sit down and watch the whole thing?
Someone would have to probably buy it for me because, again, I only buy good movies.
If you had
I
beer and
think-
pizza though, like, and
You might be able to coax me over with that. You might be able to. Right now, I think I have a total like maybe 22 movies I own
I
Rich guy.
in total.
So just going off. So since we got everyone's overall score, before we move on to the next movie,
let's do Craig's
Little-
breakdown.
well, no, a little rabbit trail
Okay.
that we kind of discussed pre-Craig Scale. Give me your minus 300. Your top. Since it seems like everyone is talking about it, guys and abs.
Okay.
Your top other movie that shows guys and abs.
Top other movie with guys and abs.
I was just talking about this yesterday.
You said Troy, right?
Well, that was one of them.
Well, that was one of them. But I said the
Sun's out, guns out. It's Top Gun.
Top Gun.
Top Gun.
Yeah.
It has
a
the
good
best ab slash volleyball ratio of any movie.
ratio.
Yeah, and there's no slow
That's
motion at all.
true. That was
Yeah, so I think that movie has the best abs, aside from 300.
being put on the spot. I'm just gonna go with Point Break.
Point Break.
I like the original Point
Original.
Break, not the new one.
Keanu Reeves.
Keanu Reeves, yeah. Because surfing and staying swole, it's all stuff I can relate to. I mean, I'm not swole. 300 actually made me think I should go back to the gym, but that's a different story.
Yeah, that's a whole another thing how movies can influence your life in general.
So did you guys think that they used any CGI on
300?
on the guys like
Oh,
with their
yeah.
abs?
Yeah, they were painted on.
Definitely, if not CGI,
Yeah, makeup.
there was a lot of makeup used, possibly even some prosthetics.
yeah.
I think a little bit.
But before we skip over me, I know you don't want to hear my opinion on best abs, but I think we're going to have to go with someone who actually is a professional at it. I'm going to have to say Pumping Iron with Arnold.
Well, is that a documentary?
Yeah.
Still.
Nice.
I guess.
I'll take
But
it.
hey,
It's a good
I think-
documentary.
I don't think we can top that. He's a bodybuilder. He's a professional.
I like to pump. Every
You
time I
like to
pump,
pump.
I feel like I'm coming.
Um,
I think that's the quote.
Yeah, I mean, top of my head, I probably just because singularly, Troy, Brad Pitt and Troy, the definition of specimen.
Brad Pitt and the other one too.
Fight Club's got some
Fight
good
Club.
abs.
Yeah, he's got a good
Yeah,
abs there.
actually, can I change mine?
It's not allowed.
No.
Who are you going to go with now? Ed Norton?
Well, I thought this was just overall movie of just like that's got a lot of good abs in it. I think Fight Club is solid on that.
So let's
What about the one where the guys are stripping and there's just
Magic
stripping?
Mike?
Yeah, Magic Mike.
That's
Oh my
perfect.
God.
So
I'm
some
saying
of
the
the
Fight
best
Club, but
real abs like you've ever seen.
Yeah.
Well, you guys, Jake Mo over here, he what did you rate? You rate Magic Mike 9?
Oh, 9 out of 10.
9 out of 10.
9 out of 10.
Hey,
Magic
who
Mike.
directed that again?
Soderbergh. All
Soderbergh.
the way, Yeah.
So weird.
Magic Mike 2, have you guys seen that?
Yeah.
You did?
And I'm gonna avoid.
I mean, it was directed by like his. It was like might be his producer or something like that.
I don't.
So, but he produced it.
I don't remember watching. I don't think I've seen Magic Mike 2.
It's pretty good.
It's the same.
That's a different episode.
Yeah.
Make-
Yeah,
Let's
definitely
let's
different
move on here
Let's
to
move on.
23 minutes
All right,
in, and
all
we're
right.
still on.
what else do we got on the menu here?
Well, okay, so 300 is the baseline. We all know. We've talked about 300 times. So we already knew that. Now let's talk about movies none of us have talked about with each other. New material. Well, old movie, but new material for us and the viewers. Big Fish.
Old material
Ooh.
for some of us.
Some of us.
Yeah,
I think it's only you who haven't seen it.
No, I've seen
So
it.
recently.
we had to watch it.
Yeah, we had to watch it. Oh yeah, that's a good point. We every movie we see here, even though we've seen it a million times, we watch it again pre Craig scale ratings here. But yes, Craig has seen Big Fish, unfortunately. Probably about 5 years ago was the last time, and then I watched it again. Yeah, so
You watched
It's-
it
it's-
twice.
what?
You watched it twice.
in my life, yes, twice in my life.
The second
Yeah.
time was this week.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
Oh my gosh, just look. Such great. Okay. Anyways,
I mean, those
wow,
abs,
so showed it, yeah.
those are all real. There's no
Yeah.
CG, no makeup there.
all right.
Well, what did you like about the movie and what did you not like?
Okay. Well, let's get into the ratings.
Yeah.
Let's go. Overall, I'm gonna go with a 2. So not a 1. Literally, the only thing that makes it even a 2 is what we see here is Danny DeVito. I'm a Danny DeVito fan, but other than
Talk
that,
about abs.
Always Sunny. Oh, Frank, classic. Anyways, yeah. Overall, 2. Entertainment. So Craig scale mixed with the general public, just bump it up 1. Give it a 3. Technical. For the time, back then I would give it a little higher score. I'd probably give it like an 8. Nowadays, it doesn't stand up. I would give it. I'll give it a 3. Technical. Rewatchability. What's that?
There's a 6-speed ramp in it.
No.
There are a lot of practical effects in here which aren't done in current movies today.
Yeah, that's the point. No one wanted to replicate.
Like they actually
Big
found
Fish.
a giant to play a giant, which is, what are the odds of that?
So did Game of Thrones. No?
That's true.
That is true.
Different episode.
I don't know if you're agreeing with me or disagreeing with me.
let's
Oh, and-
Let's stay on topic.
Rewatchability last scale is a 0. Rent by try, neither. Don't even bother wasting your time. Just watch 300 twice and skip Big Fish.
Or rent, buy, try, stay away. That's your
Not
name.
even stay away. Just burn every copy there is. Just delete any source of
What's-
it on the internet.
What's
Wow.
wrong with it? I want to
Harsh.
know what's wrong with it.
I think he's anti-heartwarming stories.
Yeah.
No, I'm not. We'll find out. I'm a little.
Either that, or maybe he's got this thing for Franks because we got Frank Miller for the first one. Now we got Frank and Danny DeVito.
Yeah.
I'm starting to notice a little bit of a trend here.
Maybe we'll find out. What I don't like about it mostly, the thing that stands out to me is it's just the story to me isn't significant. I don't find it entertaining. I don't find it thrilling. I don't find it attachable. I can't attach myself to it.
What's the story?
Of the father telling, or the father telling the son about his journey and the people he met through all of his adventures, and then of course at the end, father's on the deathbed, son's telling him he wants to send the son to tell him one last story one version is they escape to the river and he becomes the big fish and lives happy ever after, and then another version is he dies. But yeah, so minus the story itself, the acting I feel is terrible. I'm not. Well, also Ewan McGregor I feel is terrible. Even Obi-Wan. Well, that's a rabbit trail. We don't need.
Here's what I think you should do. I think you should need to write Tim Burton a fan letter for
Tell
Big
him.
Fish, telling him how bad you think it sucks. I
We'll
think that should
leave
be-
that at the fans. If the fans think Craig
For the
Scale deserves Tim Burton's audience to tell him how bad Big Fish is, we will.
All right, so leave a comment, guys. All 2 of our viewers.
Today. So let's go ahead and just put it officially. Craig Scale.
It's in ink now.
Overall, again, is a 2. But I want to put a 0 because I want to just rewatchability mostly. But I'll
Wow.
put it a 2.
Wow.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Wow.
Anyone want to take it from there?
This is one of my favorite movies of all time.
Well, that's great. We have Craig's favorite movie. And guess
Yeah.
what? He's one of.
It's not my favorite. It's my favorite. It's probably my favorite Tim Burton movie. The last one that I think was good. I can't think of a
What else did he do?
since then
No.
or before that.
Well, we always can go back to the very, very highly revered and famous Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Never seen it.
What?
Can't relate to that one.
Edward Scissorhands.
Doors.
The first
Burton's
two
Batman.
are the
The nipple Batman?
no
No.
the first 2 of that series. So it was Batman and Batman Returns. So it's